Week 11 of the 2021 college football season was unusually chalky. The only ranked team to lose to an unranked opponent was number 17 Auburn, blowing a 25-point first-half lead against Mississippi State. And the only top 10 team to bite the dust was number 8 Oklahoma, falling on the road against number 13 Baylor, which hardly counts as an upset. Compared to what had become the normal amount of chaos through the first 10 weeks or so, that was nothing. Will things go back off the rails in Week 12 with number 2 Alabama, number 3 Oregon, and number 4 Ohio State, each facing quality opponents? Or will we get one more week of calm before the storm? Welcome, everyone, and hello, friends, and welcome to Week 12 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined, as always, by good old MF Michael Fletcher and Michael Bullock. 4 weeks left in the regular season before we get to the good stuff, which is, of course, the bowls and all that. So, not much more to say. Let's just dive right on into the mayhem for week number 12. And we have 2 Friday night games that we're going to start off with. Start off with the game that's going to kick off at 9 p.m. Eastern over on ESPN2. The now number 24 Houston Cougars at home against the Memphis Tigers at TD ECU Stadium in Houston, Texas. And on the call for that one, it will be Jason Benetti, Andre Ware, and Paul Carcaterra. Houston opening up as an 8.5-point favorite. Can Memphis navigate what has been a surprisingly good Houston defense, or will the Cougars cruise to a 10th consecutive win? If it ends up being a close game, look for Houston to capitalize on a pivotal turnover. The Cougars are plus 11 in turnover margin on the year, while Memphis is minus 8. It's also possible a Marcus Jones special teams play will prove to be the difference, as he already has 2 punt returns and 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. I'm going with Houston to win this game. High-scoring game, 41-31. Houston knocks off Memphis tomorrow night. So not much more to say on that. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. Starting off week number 12 with number 24 Houston at home against Memphis tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Anthony. No, I'm with you guys as well. I feel like Houston right now is just a cut above the rest right now, and to be playing at home, to be playing tomorrow night, definitely it's going to be a little bit of an advantage for them. And I truly believe that when this is all said and done, I believe that Houston should be able to have no problem with Memphis. I think they'll get the job done. So with that said, Michael Bullock, I gave it to you.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a good game, but I definitely am in agreement with everyone here. I've got Houston winning this one as well. So, there's really nothing more to add to it. So, on to the next game, Florio.
And the other game tomorrow night will feature the number 19 San Diego State Aztecs on the road, taking on the Rebels of UNLV at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. 11:30 kickoff. This game will be over on the CBS Sports Network. And on the call for that one will be Rich Waltz and Aaron Taylor. I believe Jenny Dell works with them. I'm working with a limited announcer sheet this week. San Diego State opening up as an 11-point favorite. So, MF, San Diego State and Utah, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, San Diego State should have no problem with UNLV. I just feel like the only player right now is Kobe Smith for San Diego State is doubtful right now. It does not look like he is going to play due to an undisclosed injury. They're not revealing what it is. We don't know if it's a family issue. We don't know if it's COVID related. We don't know if they're only saying that it's an unspecified injury. And they're saying he's doubtful. So chances are, whenever you're doubtful, chances are that means you're most likely not playing. The odds of you playing are very slim to none. So with that said, that's the only loss that they got. Where UNLV has 5 injuries. One player definitely out, which is Tyreek Collins. He is actually done for the season. He will not play at all. And all the remaining players are all questionable. They have a chance of playing, but we don't really know for sure. One actually, Sheldon Zion has been listed as out. So they said it's very unlikely he will play. Let me see. Jovan Williams has been sidelined, has not played since the 12th of September. So, I mean, let's see. Was that the last game? Yeah, so he's been out for a long time. I just feel like San Diego State just has so many weapons, so many things. And for me, this is an easy victory. So winners is San Diego State. Michael Bullock, I gave it to you.
Yeah, San Diego State, like you said, they have too many weapons, and I think it's really going to be a tall task for them. So yeah, I got them winning this one as well. So there's really nothing more to add to it. So Florio, it is yours.
UNLV has snapped a 14-game losing streak with a 2-game winning streak, but the Rebels will find things much more difficult tomorrow night than they did against New Mexico and Hawaii. The Aztecs defense is more than capable of stifling UNLV running back Charles Williams, and it's likely to get ugly when this already turnover-prone offense, multiple giveaways in 5 of its last 6 games, starts trying to force the issue. Each of San Diego State's last 4 wins has come by 7 points or fewer, and I suppose things could get weird in this late Friday night road game, but it wouldn't be a surprise if this ends up resembling UNLV's most recent Friday game, in which the Rebels threw 2 pick sixes and never had a prayer against Nevada. San Diego State, easy win, 34-13. San Diego State over UNLV. So that takes care of the Friday slate. Let's now get into the Saturday slate. 6 games in the noon window. And we started off with the number 1 team in all the land, the Byu and Georgia Bulldogs. And they will be at home in the hedges of Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. And they will be hosting the... Well, there is no spread for this one, obviously, because I think it's going to be an open and shut deal here. They're going to be hosting Charleston Southern. That's who Georgia will be facing. And the game will be over on ESPN Plus with Mike Morgan and Charles Arbuckle. That's who will be calling the game. So no spread, but you got to imagine Georgia's got to be a very substantial favorite. So Michael Bullock, I don't think we need to waste too much time on this one. Georgia, number 1 team in the land, at home against Charleston Southern. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's we don't have to waste any time on this one. I got Georgia winning this one, so move on.
Yeah. Charleston Southern's most recent game against a Power 5 school was a 72-10 loss to South Carolina in 2019. Before that was a 53-6 loss to Florida to open the 2018 season. It's really just a question of how many points Georgia wants to score, though we're pretty sure the defense is committed to giving up no touchdowns in this blowout. 49-3, Georgia all over Charleston Southern. Lock of the week, MF.
49-3 seems very generous, Florio, and that's coming from me. Georgia's gonna have no problem with this. I'll go as far to say I think they're gonna get 70. I'm calling the 70 burger on this one. So yeah, I think Georgia will run it up all the way up to about 70 and then lay off the gas. So yeah, there's really nothing more to add. This is an easy call for us. And Anthony, back to you for what undoubtedly is the game of the week and playoff implications.
Absolutely, MF. You nailed it right on the head here. High noon over on ABC. The number 4 Ohio State Buckeyes back at home at the Horseshoe, Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. And they are going to be welcoming the number 7 Michigan State Spartans. And a game of this magnitude, you know who's got to be there for this one. And it is them. We don't usually get them at this time of day, but we get them, but we're going to get them anyway. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, they'll be in the Horseshoe. And Ohio State opening up as a 19-point favorite. So not much more to say on that to set it up. On the one hand, Michigan State has the best individual rusher in the nation in Kenneth Walker III, and it was poor run defense that doomed Ohio State in its Week 2 loss to Oregon. On the other hand, Ohio State's last 8 opponents have combined for 254 carries, 587 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's 2.3 yards a carry and 73.4 yards a game. If scoring on Ohio State was as simple as, quote-unquote, do what Oregon did, don't you think some opponent would have come even remotely close to doing that? The Buckeyes have clearly improved in that realm and will be a formidable foe for Walker. On the much bigger other hand, even if Michigan State manages to run it well, its secondary remains a disaster, having allowed at least 350 passing yards and multiple passing touchdowns in 5 of its last 8 games. We wish the Spartans the best of luck against a C.J. Stroud-led offense averaging 367.6 passing yards and 3.4 passing touchdowns over its last 7 games. In theory, number 4 versus number 7 should be one of the best games of the year. But in reality, I believe Ohio State will win by a landslide. I think it'll be close, maybe for a half or so, but then Ohio State will turn the burners on. So I'm going with Ohio State to win this game. 45-24, Ohio State knocks off Michigan State, keeps their playoff hopes alive. So there isn't much more to say. Mr. Big Ten, good old MF Michael Fletcher. This is an MF special. Number 4, Ohio State at home against number 7, Michigan State. I mean, Ohio State, they're in there. But the big question is, even though I think it's unlikely, what if Michigan State somehow, some way steals one in the Horseshoe? Then what?
That's bad news for Michigan. That's horrible news for Michigan, because that is something you do not want to happen. If Michigan State wins that game and knocks off Ohio State, for one, Ohio State takes a major hit in the college football playoff. That will definitely hurt them from getting through, because now you got to hope to beat Michigan and hope some way, somehow, that Michigan State loses somewhere along the end. If Michigan State wins that game, that actually hurts Ohio State and Michigan and could very possibly put Michigan State in a top 4 spot. That is a doomsday scenario. Now on this, what happens is Michigan State will have a win over Michigan, a win over Ohio State, and that will give them the opportunity to punch their ticket to the college football playoff. Barring any other mishaps, they would actually get the moment and they could win it. So if you're Michigan, if you're Ohio State right now, you're thinking, we got to take State out now. We beat Michigan State. That's 2 losses to them. They're gone. They're out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Michigan will still have a shot to win the Big Ten. They would only have to beat Ohio State. If Michigan State loses, Michigan has a shot. All they would have to beat is Ohio State. If it goes if they win in the Big House, if Michigan wins the Big House, they both have 1 losses. Michigan has the head-to-head Big Ten championship game for the Wolverines. So there's a lot of factors here. This is devastating to the Big Ten. This is devastating to the college football playoff. So this is one of the rare times I'm about to say this. Ohio State has to win this game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're a Michigan fan, I hate to say this, but you're cheering for Ohio State. Yes, I know. You never ever thought you would ever hear those words come out of my mouth, but this is the reality, folks. If you're a Michigan fan, you need Ohio State to knock off Michigan State. You need them to knock them out because that's 2 losses. Remember, they got caught by, if I remember correctly, didn't Michigan State lose to Purdue early about a couple of weeks ago, Anthony?
Yes, they did.
All right. That's the one. If they lose this one, that's their second loss. It's a wrap. Michigan State is dead in the water because if Ohio State wins out, if Michigan wins out, there's no way State can catch. They're out. They're out of the running. They're gone. So, and it would lead, once again, that game on, I want to say next week, between State and Michigan, that could decide not only who goes to the Big Ten title game, but possibly who goes all the way and plays in the Final Four. So, I mean, high stakes. If Michigan State wins, they literally knock Michigan out. Ohio State would definitely be in big trouble, and Michigan State would literally put themselves in the driver's seat for the Final Four and the college and the CFP, the college football playoff. But I think Ohio State is just too good, and whenever it's something like this where everything is on the line, Ohio State has always answered the bell. Every single time, they've always answered the bell. I don't think it's going to change. And they're at home, it's a wrap. Ohio State knocks off Michigan State. They will remain in the top 4, and it's going to make for one heck of a fight next week when it's the game. Michigan versus Ohio State at the Big House in Ann Arbor. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, this is definitely a big game. I can't believe I'm about to say this. You really gotta, if you're a Michigan fan, you really gotta root for Ohio State to win this one, because if things go against Michigan, they could definitely knock them out of the college football playoff. So, yeah, so we'll have to wait and see how all that goes. But I think, I definitely think Ohio State will get the job done here. I think they should. Michigan State will make it close for a little while, but I think Ohio State will pull away at the end. So Ohio State wins. Florio, it's yours.
All right. Game of the week. Can't wait. It's going to be a great one. Major implications in the Big Ten and the college football playoff, regardless of who wins. So I think that's the game we're going to have the most vested interest in, as will be this one, as we move to the ACC for our next high noon matchup. This is the game of the week in the ACC as far as I'm concerned. The number 10 Wake Forest Demon Deacons on the road against the Clemson Tigers, Memorial Stadium, Death Valley. and this will be over on ESPN, and it'll be Roy Philpott. And I guess Roy Philpott will be sitting in for Joe Tessitore. He'll be working with Greg McElroy and Katie George. And Clemson opening up as a 4.5-point favorite. So, just hold on one second here. Let me see. One, two, three. All right. This one. I just wanted to be sure I had the right order. So, all right. So this is the correct one, and MF will be starting this one off. So MF, number 10, Wake Forest, their biggest game in a long time, taking on a Clemson team that we know they started in the top 5. Georgia manhandled them. Weren't really the same after that, but Clemson starting to catch a little fire here. So Wake Forest and Clemson. MF, I know Clemson's not as good as they were, a year or two ago or whatever, but this is a trap game for Wake Forest, especially if they want to keep their magical season going.
Yeah, and the thing is they've won. Clemson's won 3 in a row. They beat up on Florida State. They took out Louisville, and they hammered UConn last week, 44-7. And the thing is that once it got to Wake Forest dominated, winning all their games. And remember what I said, Florio, a couple of weeks ago? Who has Wake Forest really beaten? And I really called them out on that. And look what happened. They went up against North Carolina, and North Carolina got them. They beat them 58-55. Then they just snuck by NC State last week? Really? 45-42. And all of a sudden, this Wake Forest juggernaut, this powered team that we thought that they were, you're starting to see chinks in the armor. You're starting to see them get exposed a little bit. And I was like, well, you better not show any chinks to the armor to Dabo Swinney and to Clemson. They'll maul you. They will beat you up and they will take you out with no hesitation. I hate to say it, I smell an upset. And yes, Anthony, I think Clemson is back. I think they're going to come all the way back. And even though it doesn't look like they're going to win the ACC this year because they got too many losses, I think they got three losses to their name right now. But I will say this. They are going to give Wake Forest a lot of problems. And unfortunately, I don't think Wake is going to be able to solve them all. Clemson upsets Wake Forest. It's going to be rest in peace in Death Valley. Michael Bullock, you know where I was playing with that lingo. No, I know there's going to be a cat-like grin coming through your face right now.
Believe it, Fletch. I was smiling like a Cheshire cat when you brought that up.
Well, it's going to happen. Clemson is going to bury Wake Forest, and it will be just like his favorite person in the whole wide world, The Undertaker, would say, rest in peace.
Peace.
Bullock, it's yours. I got Clemson in an upset over Wake Forest.
Yeah, I mean, this Wake Forest team, they haven't been the same team. I mean, and like you said, maybe they're starting to show some kinks in the armor, and all I can say is for Wake Forest, they need to fix it up, or I smell an upset here. And you know what? I can't believe what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Fletch on this one. I think Clemson's back, and I think they're going to pull off the upset. So I got Clemson winning here, so nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
Even though Clemson's defense has been great this season, Wake Forest will score in this one. I thought NC State might be the team to slow the Demon Deacons, but no, they scored at least 35 points for the 10th straight time. The Tigers allowed 27 to Pittsburgh and 24 to Louisville in the past month. And there's a chance Wake Forest keeps that 35-point streak alive in Death Valley. However, Clemson is finally showing some signs of life on offense with at least 30 points in 3 straight. And for as great as its offense has been, Wake Forest's defense has allowed 39 points over its last 6 games. Even though there has not been a single Clemson game yet this season in which the total reached 55 points, we're going to be treated to another Wake Forest-fueled shootout. But Clemson, which has not lost at home since November 12th of 2016, ekes out a win to remain in the mix for a spot in the ACC championship. Even though I'll be honest with you, I actually kind of want to see Wake Forest win this thing. Be that team to prove people wrong. I would love to see that and prove these guys wrong, especially MF. But at the end of the day, I'm with you guys. I'm going to call for the upset as well. I'm going with Clemson. High-scoring game, higher scoring than you guys think, but I think Clemson's going to win. Closer game, 38-31. I got Clemson knocking off Wake. So with that, let's move on to our next high noon game. We have the now number 13 Oklahoma Sooners back at home at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman, and they will be hosting the Iowa State Cyclones. Big noon Saturday on Fox. You know who's working this as always. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, the All-American girl, Jenny Taft, and Oklahoma opening up as a 3.5-point favorite. So Michael Bullock, can Oklahoma bounce back after that upset loss to Baylor last week?
Yeah, this is an opportunity for Oklahoma to bounce back after such a very tough loss to a good Baylor team, and yeah, I mean, I think Iowa State will definitely give this team some fits in the beginning, but to me, in the end, I think Oklahoma will pull away in this one. So I got the Oklahoma Sooners winning this one. And as JR would say, it's Boomer Sooner, baby. So, Florio, it is yours.
This game sure has lost some luster since opening the year as number 2 against number 7 in the AP poll. Both the Sooners and Cyclones enter this one licking their wounds from an unexpected loss. Oklahoma's undefeated season ending at the hands of Baylor's rushing attack. Iowa State dropping its 4th game when Texas Tech's Jonathan Garibay crushed a 62-yard game-winning field goal. Iowa State was supposed to have one of the best defenses in the country, but things have fallen apart for the Cyclones as of late. They shut down floundering Texas in Week 10, but that performance was bookended by losses to West Virginia and Texas Tech, in which they allowed at least 320 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. That was a particularly troubling development last week against freshman Donovan Smith, who was making his first career start. Then again, Baylor gave up more than 500 total yards to a quarterback, TCU's Chandler Morris, making his first career start the week before it faced Oklahoma. And then the Bears went out and suffocated the Sooners' offense. What we'll get from Oklahoma's offense has been a mystery on a week-to-week basis all season. And now it appears they have another Spencer Rattler or Caleb Williams debate on their hands. It once felt like Oklahoma was going to have a 2014 Florida State type of season, winning close game after close game before getting smoked in the postseason. But now it feels more like 2017 Miami, which started 10-0 before losing 3 straight. And let's keep in mind, Iowa State has pulled off the road upset in this rivalry. Has pulled off the road upset in this rivalry a couple times recently. And it very well could here. It could. But I just don't see it happening. I think Iowa State's going to give them fits. I think it's going to be a closer game than expected. But all I know is it's going to be Oklahoma. It's going to be Oklahoma winning this game. My final score, 31-28. Oklahoma knocks off Iowa State. So Not much more to say. MF, it's not going to be easy, but I think Oklahoma should find a way to bounce back after that gut-wrenching loss to Baylor, which really put a major dent in their playoff hopes.
Yeah, major dent, no doubt about it. It was a devastating loss, to say the very least. And no, there's really nothing more to say. You absolutely said it in this situation. It's gonna be a it's gonna be a tough fight. It's gonna be a good battle, no doubt about it. But like you said, I believe that it will end up being a big victory for Oklahoma. I think they will bounce back. And there's really nothing more to add. So yeah, I got Oklahoma winning as well. And well, normally we don't talk about the NFL, but I do gotta say this. Can I get a pick six? Because that's what the Patriots just did. And a former oh no!
Oh yes.
Oh no!
He shanked it, baby. He shanked that sucker. That's a shank, baby.
Yeah,
That's
but the thing is, guys, I mean, it's
who cares?
not that big a deal. Not that big a deal because they got this one well in hand.
No. You have no idea no. You have no idea. He's about to get roasted by one of my favorite guys on YouTube. It's about to get ugly. If word has not gotten out yet, oh my goodness. There's going to be a massacre in a couple of days. I can't wait. YouTube's going to be lit in a couple of days. It's going to be a massacre. Nick Folk is about to get crucified. Okay, nothing more to say. I'm sorry. Oklahoma wins. Oklahoma wins. Nothing more to say, Florio.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send us the details on that one, MF. So, because I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, the reason why I say it's not a big deal because, like I said, the game's pretty much well in hand. Now, if it was a close game and that happened, then we're talking something different.
No question about it. And with this win, and I think regardless of what Tennessee does, even though I think it's going to be an easy win for them, MF, I think we're looking at our game of the week for next week because Tennessee goes to New England in Foxborough, and that game just got very, very interesting. So I think we might have our game of the week Thanksgiving weekend. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But anywho, getting back to this, man, this Patriot team, unbelievable. I know Bullock's got to be grinning from ear to ear right about now with this unbelievable 5-star performance they put together here tonight. Whereas for the Falcons, absolute dud. But we'll get more into that Saturday night. But for right now, let's get into our next matchup, high noon. We have, I believe, 2 more games left. I think we've covered 4 of these noon games. Yes, we have. So we got 2 more left. Next up, the number 16 Texas A&M Aggies back at home at Kyle Field in College Station, and they're going to be hosting. Hopefully, I have the name of this. No, I don't because there's no spread for this one either. A&M is going to be hosting Prairie View, and this game will be on ESPN Plus with Mike Corey and Dave Steckel. There is no spread. But you have to imagine Texas Tech has got to be, or I should say Texas A&M rather, should be a rather substantial and sizable favorite in this one. So Prairie View A&M was 7-1 overall and ranked 24th in the FCS top 25 prior to a loss to Alcorn State last Saturday. The Panthers are led at quarterback by Louisville transfer Jawan Pass and have scored at least 24 points in all but 1 game this season. But that just means Texas A&M will be blowing out an above-average FCS team, letting out some frustration after a tough loss to Ole Miss. 49-10, Texas A&M all over Prairie View A&M. MF, not even going to be close. MF, are you there? Texas A&M hosting Prairie View A&M.
Oh, really? Okay. Texas A&M wins. I no words. I'm just leaving that one alone. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, well, it's official. It's a final score. The Patriots shut out the Atlanta Falcons 25-0, and they go to 7-4 now. And as of this moment, Florio, they are tied with the Buffalo Bills for the division lead. I mean, who would have thunk that going into the season? I mean,
I didn't.
I certainly didn't.
Actually, Michael Bullock, I want to
MF
stand you
did.
correct. I want to stand you corrected here because of that win. I want to say, actually, does it give them a half game lead, or is it still?
It was half game.
Yeah, it
Because
would
remember,
bring it to a tie for the moment. Yeah, it would bring it to a tie. So you are absolutely correct, Bullock. It is a tie at the moment. Now it all hinges
yes,
on what Buffalo does.
yeah,
If
that's the
Buffalo
thing.
if Buffalo loses to Indy, Bullock's Patriots would have pretty much a half game lead. But if
They would have
Buffalo
a half
wins,
game lead. Yep.
but if
But if
Buffalo wins,
then Buffalo
Buffalo hangs on to it.
maintains the half game lead. So
It's going to be a half game difference regardless of what happens.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we'll get into that Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
but anywho, I got Texas A&M winning this one in a laugher. So Florio, what's yours?
in our final high noon game, the number 25 Mississippi State Bulldogs at home at Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville, Mississippi, and they're going to be hosting Tennessee State. This is another ESPN Plus game, no spread. Mississippi State, you would have to imagine it's got to be a very sizable favorite in this one. And I don't have the announcers for this game because I don't see it on my list here. Actually, no, I do see it now. ESPN Plus has it. Mike Cousins and Dustin Fox will be on the call for this game. So MF, number 25, Mississippi State at home against Tennessee State. Another one of these no spread, substantial favorite games.
Yeah, and again, this is one that I wouldn't really want to go too much into detail on. This is an easy one for me. Mississippi State should win this one pretty handily going away. So there's really nothing more for me to add here. So Michael Bullock, I give it to you. I got Mississippi State winning in a laugher.
Yeah, I got Mississippi State winning in a laugher as well. I'm not going to waste any time on this one. So Florio, what's yours?
Mississippi State started at number 17 in the CFP rankings, fell all the way out after a last-minute loss to Arkansas, and is back in at number 25 following a come-from-behind road win over Auburn. Don't expect any other drastic changes for the Bulldogs in the next set of rankings, as the air raid offense should steamroll a 5-5 Tennessee State squad, averaging just 20.7 points a game. The only real question here is how long does Will Rogers stay in the game? Mississippi State's quarterback has attempted at least 47 passes in all but one game this season, and the one exception came when he was too doggone efficient in a 36 of 39 game against Kentucky. This could be another stat padding game for the man who ranks second in the nation in total passing yards, if head coach Mike Leach so chooses. 49-9, Mississippi State all over Tennessee State, so not much more. We're going to get into a 2 o'clock kickoff, a rare 2 o'clock kickoff. This will be over on FS1. Back to the Big Ten for the number 17 Iowa Hawkeyes. And they will be back at home at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. And they will be hosting Matt Ward's Fighting Illini of Illinois. And this game will be over on FS1, as I mentioned. And on the call for that one, it will be Adam Alexander and Devin Gardner. And Iowa opening up as a 12.5-point favorite. So, Michael Bullock, give it to you here. Iowa back at home hosting Illinois.
Yeah, Iowa. I mean, they look pretty good here, and yeah, I mean, with the home field advantage here, I think they should have no problem handling Illinois here. So basically, I got the Iowa Hawkeyes winning this one. So, Flory, what's yours?
Yeah. This is going to be an MF special. I call it an MF special because I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Illinois doesn't commit many turnovers. However, it has been held to 100 passing yards or fewer in 5 of its last 6 games, and it has averaged just 14 points over its last 8 games. Even against mediocre defenses, the Illini have struggled to move the ball. Against Iowa's defense, they may well get shut out. That's a two-way street, though, as the Illinois defense has held 7 consecutive opponents to 24 points or fewer, while Iowa ranks 123rd in the nation in total offense. Just another Saturday in the Big Ten West. Even though Illinois has won 2 road games against ranked opponents in the past month, Iowa should win at home in yet another ugly game. The Hawkeyes have won each of their last 2 contests by 5 points, and maybe they keep that trend going. Iowa wins, defensive battle for MF, 14-9. Iowa knocks off Illinois. MF, are we going to make it unanimous?
We will make it unanimous. Yes, I do believe that Iowa should be able to handle their business, get the job done. So yeah, I really got nothing more to add. So Anthony, next game.
And it's the 2:30 kickoff, and it's my team, the now number 8 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, for their home finale, Senior Day at Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana. And they are going to be hosting the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. Over on NBC, you know who's working this as always. Mike Tirico, Drew Brees, Catherine Tappan. Notre Dame opening up as a 17-point favorite in this one. And this is finally a game I can feel confident about. Georgia Tech had a surprisingly effective defense in September, almost beating Clemson and more than doubling up North Carolina 45-22. But the D has been a disaster for the Ramblin' Wreck since then, allowing at least 250 passing yards and at least 170 rushing yards to 6 consecutive opponents. During that same time, Notre Dame has found itself on offense, averaging 207.4 rushing yards over the last 5 games, compared to 80.8 in the first 5. Factor in a Fighting Irish defense that has held back-to-back opponents without a touchdown, and this one figures to get ugly. Notre Dame knocks off Georgia Tech. I think they should win this one comfortably on Senior Day at Notre Dame Stadium. They usually do well in these games. I think Notre Dame should have no trouble with Georgia Tech whatsoever. 38-10, Notre Dame all over Georgia Tech. So MF, Notre Dame at number 8. I know the playoffs probably out of the question, but
actually, no. I don't think so. No, and I guess from what I've heard, there's a special clause in the contract that if Notre Dame even gets 1 loss, I think that would give them enough. If enough teams fall, there is a legit scenario where Notre Dame gets in.
I would love that.
So I would not say that they're completely out Florio. They're definitely on the outside looking in. But if they don't get into a college football playoff, they most definitely will get into a New Year's 6. And that's big time.
Nice.
I mean, CFP is the biggest of them all. That's the greatest thing you want to get into. But if you can't get in there, then at least try to get into the college football playoff. I mean, not the college football playoff, the New Year's 6. Get into the New Year's 6. That's huge. That's a big deal. So, and Notre Dame has been in the New Year's 6 before.
Indeed.
So, I honestly, truthfully, I do believe Notre Dame will get into the New Year's 6 college football playoff. You're gonna need some chips to fall your way.
Exactly.
So, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It definitely can happen.
Okay.
But Notre Dame will win on Senior Day this Saturday at the stadium. That I can definitely say with no reservations and no problems. Notre Dame should win. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see that happening, but to me, I think it's too tall of an order. But you never know. I've seen some crazier things going down, but in the end, uh, yeah, I got Notre Dame winning this one. They will have no problem, especially playing in front of their fans for the final time this season. So, and they're gonna send them home with something to remember on Senior Day. So, nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
All right. We move on to the 3:30 slate of games. There's 6 of these as well, just like we have with the noon slate. And we're going to start it off with our favorite, boys, the SEC on CBS. And what a game we have here. You can make an argument that this might be the number 2 game of the week right here. The number 2, Alabama Crimson Tide, back at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. And they're going to be hosting the now number 21 Arkansas Razorbacks. SEC on CBS. You know who's working this as always. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jamie Erdahl. They will be there. Alabama opening up as a 20.5-point favorite. MF, it is the biggest. You have to consider this the biggest game for Arkansas football in years. But at Alabama, sorry, Sorrell. I hate to say it, darling, but we got 2 words for you. Next victim.
Exactly. They had that first big battle when they went in against Georgia and got absolutely destroyed the first time. I don't think it's going to be any better. I think it's going to be just as bad, just as one-sided, just as lopsided as it was against Georgia. Georgia literally made a statement that they were number 1, that they are the best, that they are, without a doubt, the team to beat. Alabama will do just as damaging to Arkansas, and they're not gonna give Arkansas any leeway whatsoever. This is gonna be an easy victory for Alabama because now you also want to get the style points from the committee. Even though you don't really need the style points because you're Alabama, but the thing is the margin of error for Alabama is very razor thin. Because here's the thing, folks. If Alabama loses one more game, it does not have to. Here's the thing. If it happens next week, if it happens in the Iron Bowl, or if they fall to Georgia in the SEC championship game, Bama is gone. That's 2 losses. Remember, they lost already earlier in the year. A&M got them. The 12th man got them in their house. They took them out. If they lose one more game, you know that committee is going to have an easy time saying no to Alabama when you have all these one-loss teams and a Cincinnati team that is undefeated. There is no way on earth Bama gets in if they have 2 losses. If some way, somehow Bama sneaks in with 2 losses into this college football playoff, there's going to be an outcry by every single fan to expand it because there's no possible logic or reasoning for this to happen. Bama will win, but they got to be very, very, very careful from here on out. You beat Arkansas, that's fine. You never know what happens in an Iron Bowl. Iron Bowl, that can go a number of ways. If they get through them, you literally have yourself the game of the year, a game of the century, and significant college football playoff implications at the SEC championship in Atlanta. Because if Georgia beats Bama, Bama's out. There is no way to get through. If Bama wins, now we have a scenario where Georgia and Bama should be able to make it because they'll both have one loss. That would be a doomsday scenario because that means if you're a Pac-12 team, if you're a Big Ten team, if you're Cincinnati, somebody's going to get left out because there's going to be two SEC teams in the Final Four. And that is going to be an absolute nightmare because at that point, who's the odd man out? Who gets left behind? And that is a nightmare. Notre Dame would be upset. The Big Ten champion, whoever that may be, if Michigan, there would be an outcry. That's all I would say. There would be an absolute outcry if that happens. But there's really nothing more to add. So I really got nothing more to say. Bama wins. Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I mean, like you said, I mean, I got Alabama winning this one, and yeah, I mean, the pressure's on Alabama because if they lose, their chances of being in the college football playoff is done. So, yeah, so Bama wins. Florio, it is yours.
Yeah, it's going to be Bama. No question here. It's wild that if Arkansas had been able to get that 2-point conversion at the end of its 52-51 loss to Ole Miss, this game would be for first place in the SEC West. For a team that went 11-35 overall and 4-30 in the SEC over the last 4 years, we have not spent enough time marveling at the job Coach Sam Pittman has done with the Razorbacks in just his second season at the helm. But I and as well as my fellow colleagues here, cannot in good faith say that they are going to legitimately threaten to pull off this upset. I know it hasn't quite been a vintage year for Alabama. The Crimson Tide lost to Texas A&M and darn near lost to both Florida and LSU. But their defense has still been very good against the run, 2.1 yards a carry over the last 7 games. And they still have one of the favorites to win the Heisman in quarterback Bryce Young, who has 33 touchdowns against only 3 interceptions after a fun little stat-stuffing day against lowly New Mexico State. The Bama run defense is the real problem for Arkansas and for Auburn next week in the Iron Bowl because the Razorbacks need to run the ball to get anything going on offense. The 2 times they were held below 190 rushing yards, they were shut out by Georgia and needed overtime to get to 16 points against LSU. Alabama's D will cause similar problems in a relatively uncompetitive game. 38-14, Alabama all over Arkansas. So not much more to say. Next 3:30 game over on ESPN. This is a good one here. The number 5 Cincinnati Bearcats back at home at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati. And they're going to be hosting the Mustangs of SMU. And this one will be over on, I believe this one. Yeah, ESPN will have this one. Bob Wischusen, MF's boy Dan Orlovsky, and Chris Budden will have the call. Cincinnati opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. Michael Bullock, Cincinnati, they're right there. But they got a very tough SMU team coming in. I believe this is the only legitimate threat for Cincinnati. If they get past this, I think their playoff chances are very, very high and significant.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this is definitely going to be a tough test for Cincinnati. I mean, like you said, all they got to do is win this one, and who knows what will happen. I mean, their chances of getting in could be good, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that. But so yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say except it's going to be a close one. SMU will definitely give them some fits here, but to me, I gotta go with Cincinnati here. I mean, it's tough for me to go against them, so there's really nothing more to say except Florio, it is yours.
Here is where we find out how good Cincinnati's secondary is. The numbers are great. The Bearcats have 16 interceptions against just 6 passing touchdowns allowed, and they are leading the nation in defensive passer efficiency rating. But who is the best quarterback they've faced? UCF's Dylan Gabriel was out for that game, as was Tulane's Michael Pratt. Notre Dame was smack dab in the middle of its QB controversy when that game happened in early October. So Indiana's Michael Penix Jr. before he hurt his shoulder, maybe. Suffice it to say, SMU's Tanner Mordecai, with 326.4 passing yards and 3.7 passing touchdowns a game, will be the stiffest test for a Cincinnati team that hasn't exactly been thriving as of late. The Mustangs are 6th in the nation in scoring at 41.6 points a game, and they've had a pair of games in the last month with at least 600 total yards and 55 points. Shutting this team down for a 20-14 type of win seems next to impossible, but Desmond Ridder and Jerome Ford should be able to put up a good number of points against this SMU defense. Cincinnati stays undefeated, but it won't be all that convincing. Cincinnati will escape this threat. 34-28, Cincinnati barely gets by SMU. But MF, oh boy. We talked about what if Michigan State steals one at Ohio State? What if SMU steals one in Cincy?
If they beat Cincy, Cincy's out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Cincy's dream of playing for the national championship goes down in flames. The committee is looking for every reason not to include Cincinnati into the Final Four. They don't want the little brother in. They want the ratings. They want the money. They want to split it in the Power Five. Cincinnati knows deep down that the deck is stacked against them. To really be honest with you, right now, they would need complete and utter chaos to break out. They would literally need Bama to lose another game somewhere along the way. They would need Ohio State to lose a game somewhere along the way. They would need Oregon to lose a game somewhere along the way, because that would be the only way where the committee would have no choice but to put Cincinnati in the top line in one of the 4 spots. And there'd be no debates, because at that point, it would literally give all the credence, everything that they've been saying. They literally would have to give Cincinnati the golden ticket in. Because right now, that committee has been so cavalier and so, I want to say it in a word that does not get me in trouble here tonight, but their rejection and their total lack of respect to Cincinnati is so appalling and has really angered the college football community. Because if you look at it by all the polls, and I'm talking coaches poll, AP poll, Cincinnati is a top 3 team right now. They're the number 3 team in the nation. So Cincinnati, some way, somehow, they're not only just going to have to win this game, they're going to have to make an example out of SMU. Like, you literally are going to have to blow them out in order to get the attention of the committee now. And that's the thing. They haven't had that signature, bona fide domination yet. They're going to need one. Maybe this is the game. Because everybody's thinking SMU is going to give them some trouble. They're going to give them fits. They're going to give them everything that they can handle and the whole 9 yards. But I will say this. Cincinnati has to let chaos reign. Because if chaos starts, they're going to benefit. So Cincinnati is going to win. But in order for them to make Final Four, they're gonna need something to fall. Somebody's gotta fall in order for them to get in. Because if it holds status quo right now, Cincinnati will be undefeated, but they're not going to make it to the playoffs. They will be left out. And that is gonna be an absolute catastrophe. Because normally you would say, and the committee made this very abundantly clear, we are looking for the 4 best teams in the nation. And I think all 3 of us can agree. Cincinnati is one of the 4 best teams in the nation. They deserve to be in the playoffs. They deserve the spot. And they might not get in because of corruption and politics. 2 things we despise the most in any sport. And this is rearing its ugly head. And this might prevent the Cincinnati Bearcats, because they're not in a Power 5 conference, to get into the college football playoff. I got nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
Didn't I lead off on it?
I think you did.
Oh, then my bad. I'm sorry, Anthony. Back to you then.
Yeah, I believe Bullock did start that off. Yep, yeah, you did. So, all right. But I'll be leading off on this next game here at this next 3:30 game. And here you go, boys. It's your team, the number 6 Michigan Wolverines, on the road against the Maryland Terrapins at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. This will be over on the Big Ten Network. And on the call for that one will be the Big Ten Network's A team, Brandon Gaudin, James Laurinaitis, and Rick Izzo. And Michigan opening up as a 16-point favorite. I, for one, very much appreciate Maryland for its lack of surprises this season. In 5 games against teams that are currently 500 or worse, the Terrapins are a perfect 5-0. In 5 games against teams with winning records, they are 0-5, with an average margin of defeat of 28 points a game. I mean, they don't even make things interesting against good teams, and Michigan surely qualifies. Unless they take this game for granted in preparation for next week's big showdown with Ohio State, the Wolverines should have no problem with a defense that has allowed at least 31 points in 6 consecutive games and an offense that has been hopelessly unable to establish the run. Michigan should win this game comfortably. Keyword should. 45-17. Michigan knocks off Maryland. So I know I'm not the Michigan guy here, unlike MF and Bullock. But MF, if I had one word of advice, and it's the same advice my Buffalo Bills damn sure should have taken against Jacksonville, do not look past Maryland. Get Ohio State out of your minds. Take care of business against Maryland, then focus on Ohio State. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. No, and I know, and Michigan, I think they'll be fine. They're going to be focused. They're going to be ready. Look, we went into Happy Valley. We went against Penn State and barely escaped with that win. Like, that was one of the biggest roadblocks we had, and we went right by that hurdle. So no, I'm pretty sure Michigan will be ready, and Harbaugh knows that now they have a shot at the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. This committee, remember how I'm very negative about the college football committee? They're in love with Michigan. They are very high on the Wolverines. So if Michigan handles their business and wins out, there's a very good chance they get in. And they're playing for the title. So obviously, you want to dominate and handle your business, win that game. Obviously, you want to see Ohio State knock out Michigan State, because then at that point, it's just 1-on-1. Michigan, Ohio State for the East Division title, a trip to the cup, to the Big Ten championship game, and more importantly, possibly securing your spot in the Final Four of the college football playoff. That's what's on the line. But the thing is, like you said, we cannot look past Maryland, and I pretty am sure they won't. Just finish the job, do what you got to do, and then we worry about Ohio State 1 week from now. That's the only thing they have to focus. Do your job, play the game. Look, they're not good defensively. We could run on them. We did it against Penn State early in the game, and then Penn State started tightening up. But the passing, Cade McNamara won that game for the Wolverines. Without a doubt, he won that game for us. That beautiful pass in the middle of the field that sprung the touchdown from 45 yards out to seal it for the Wolverines, that's exactly what we need. We need them to throw early, run the football. This is a perfect game for Michigan to get ourselves ready for the big showdown. But we have to make a statement. And this is a statement that we can make to the committee, saying, hey, we are worthy of the top 4. Let us in. So, nothing more to say. Michigan wins. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Michigan winning this one, but yeah, I mean, it's also big for them, and they cannot look ahead to that big matchup with Ohio State. They need to take care of their business right here, right now, and then you could look ahead to the big game. So Michigan wins. Flory, what's yours?
All right, we move on to our next 3:30 game, staying in the Big Ten. The number 15 Wisconsin Badgers back at home at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, and they will be hosting the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And this game will be over on ABC. And on the call for that one will be Dave Patch, Dusty Dvoracek, and Tom Luganville. Wisconsin opening up as a 9-point favorite. MF, Wisconsin. My goodness. I mean, you want to talk about a very slow start for Wisconsin. They had a very rough start to this season, but boy, howdy, Wisconsin. Boy, they've really kicked on the burners here. And so MF, can Wisconsin keep their winning ways going? I mean, Wisconsin, I know, too little too late when it comes to significant stuff, but hey, Wisconsin could end up making a nice year. So MF, Wisconsin at home against Nebraska. Can Wisconsin keep this hot streak going? I say they can.
I say yes, and I think they will. Look, Nebraska, they had very high hopes of turning the season around, and unfortunately, it just has not been that season for them. They had some good moments, and then it seems like it's fallen apart. And for Wisconsin, going in earlier in the year, I mean, there was very high hopes for them, and they actually stumbled out of the gates and never really recovered until recently. I do believe Wisconsin will turn it around. They'll get yet another crucial victory, but nothing more than that. So yeah, Wisconsin wins. Bullock, it's yours.
What was the game we were talking about now?
Number 15, Wisconsin at home against Nebraska.
Yeah, I got Wisconsin winning this one. I mean, yeah, I think Nebraska will hang in there for a little bit, but then I think Wisconsin will definitely pull away. So Wisconsin wins. Florio, it's yours.
Is Wisconsin finally going to become the first team to beat 2021 Nebraska by double digits? The Cornhuskers have been incapable of winning big games, but they sure have made things difficult for their opponents on their way to those 7 losses. After a rough start to the season, though, Wisconsin is firing on all cylinders. The average final score during the Badgers' 6-game winning streak is 31.3 to 7.3, as their defense has allowed just 4 touchdowns since October 3rd. In fairness, though, the 6 offenses they faced during that time were either quite bad, Illinois, Iowa, Northwestern, and Rutgers, or one-dimensional, Army run, Purdue pass. Nebraska's record is bad, but this is clearly the best, most well-balanced offense Wisconsin has come up against in some time. The Cornhuskers will find the end zone multiple times, albeit in yet another agonizing loss. Wisconsin wins 28-17. I got Wisconsin keeping their winning ways going against Nebraska. Next up, next 3:30 game, the number 18 Pittsburgh Panthers back at home at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, and they will be hosting the Virginia Cavaliers over on ESPN2. And on that call, it will be Beth Mowins, Kirk Morrison, and Dawn Davenport. Pittsburgh opening up as a 14 and a half point favorite. So Michael Bullock, we start with you. Pittsburgh hosting Virginia, opening up as a 2-touchdown favorite at Heinz Field.
Yeah, I think this could be an easy win for Pittsburgh. I mean, if they continue on this roll, I mean, they could definitely find themselves in the ACC championship game. So they need to keep that momentum going. So, which I think they will. So, I got Pittsburgh winning this one. So, Florio, it is yours.
With Brennan Armstrong sidelined by a rib injury, Virginia's offense looked terrible in a 28-3 loss to Notre Dame. The Cavaliers quarterback is still listed as day-to-day, so perhaps he'll be back for this crucial matchup in the ACC's Coastal Division. Even if Armstrong is at 100%, though, the pick would be Pittsburgh. The Kenny Pickett-led Panthers have been even better than UVA on offense, 43.5 points a game, and they have shown far more often than Virginia that they can occasionally get some stops on defense. Check both the weather in Pittsburgh and Armstrong's status before you consider placing any over-under bets. But the Panthers should win by multiple scores, a.k.a. comfortably. Pittsburgh wins 38-20. MF, your thoughts?
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct here. And I'm going to say as well, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. You made some very valid points here, and I really don't believe, I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference. So, yeah, Pittsburgh should win. And, Anthony, it's yours.
All right, our final 3:30 game. Oh, yeah, here we go. MF's favorite college team nickname coming up next. The number 22 University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners.
Me.
Yeah, buddy. And they're going to be at home at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. And they're going to be hosting the Blazers of UAB. This will be over on ESPN Plus with Doug Anderson and LaDarren McClain. And UTSA opening up as a 4.5-point favorite. So even though UTSA is one of just 3 remaining undefeated teams, if it loses this game, it would fall behind UAB in the Conference USA standings, liable to miss out on playing for the conference title unless UAB loses to UTEP next week. And the Blazers are a threat to pull off the upset, boasting a defense that has been solid outside the losses to Georgia and Liberty. But if the Flames could put up 545 total yards while beating UAB by 24 points, why can't UTSA? The Roadrunners were not their usual selves this past week against Southern Miss, but they had scored at least 44 points in each of their previous 4 contests. Sincere McCormick is leading CUSA in rushing, and while Frank Harris doesn't put up huge numbers at quarterback, the dual threat signal caller has been impressively efficient as the leader of this offense. That unit will put up enough points for the defense, which has held 4 opponents below 200 total yards this season, does its thing for an 11th consecutive win. University of Texas San Antonio wins this one 31-21 in the Alamo Dome. MF, how about them Roadrunners, huh?
Yeah, no, they've been impressive, man. They've been they're my darlings. I don't know why, but maybe it's because of the Roadrunner thing. Maybe it's I'm getting that Boise State vibe. You remember, Anthony, years ago, Boise State out of nowhere just became the darlings of college football.
Boy, do I.
And everybody just fell in love with them. Like, it was the ultimate Cinderella story. Other
Absolutely.
than Cincinnati, and I'm going to openly admit this, if Cincinnati wasn't on their amazing run that they are on right now, we'd be talking about UTSA as maybe that new darling, that incredible story, as we would say. Now, I do believe they'll win the game. I think it's going to be a tight one, but I just feel like they're going to find a way to win it. And they're in the Alamo Dome, which is their actual de facto home turf. I think they're going to do it. And I think that they're going to once again rise to the occasion. So, yeah, give me UTSA to win yet again, remain undefeated, and have, an outside shot at least making maybe a New Year's Day bowl if they win it all. Because after that, then you just got Conference USA title game. If they win that game, now I don't know if the Conference USA champion automatically goes to a particular bowl, or if there's enough where they could play like in like an Outback Bowl or the Capital One Bowl, a game on New Year's Day, which we all said back, probably maybe a few years ago, we talk about how playing in a New Year's Day bowl game used to be one of the biggest things you ever do in your entire college football career. Now, obviously, with bowls being so random now, it kind of diluted the way that the bowls are being played nowadays, because there's so many different bowl games and they're on so many different dates now, before Christmas, after Christmas, New Year's Day, and then there's a few games after New Year's Day that leads us into the college football national championship game. It kind of lost its luster a little bit, because there's gonna be like 80 teams making 40 different bowl games this year. I mean, come on, that's way too much. But anyway, I'm just nitpicking here. UTSA should win. Bullock, is yours.
Yeah, I agree. I got Texas San Antonio winning this one as well. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. I'm just gonna give it to Florio.
All right. So I believe now we go into, let's see. I think that takes care of the 3:30s. So we have two 4 o'clock games to get into now. Yeah. First 4 o'clock game features the number 14 BYU Cougars on the road at Allen E. Paulson Stadium against Georgia Southern. That is the Eagles of Georgia Southern. And this game will be over on, I think this is another ESPN Plus game. Yes, there is. I don't know who the announcers are. I don't see them on my sheet here, so I can't give you the announcers for that. But I can tell you that BYU is opening up as a 20-point favorite. So, MF, easy win for BYU, I'm sure.
Yes, easy win for BYU. Nothing more to add. Bullet, go.
Bullock, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
BYU and Georgia Southern.
Yeah, I got BYU winning this one, so yeah, it's yours.
Yeah. Normally one of the better running teams in the nation, Georgia Southern has been outrushed in 5 consecutive games, and Tyler Algier and company will likely push that streak to 6. BYU put up 66 points against Virginia and 59 against Idaho State in its 2 most recent games, and it shouldn't have any trouble scoring in this one against an Eagles team that is 0-7 against opponents who are currently 500 or better. Easy win for BYU, 42-17, so not much more to say there. The other 4 o'clock game from the ACC features the number 20 NC State Wolfpack at home at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. And they'll be hosting the Syracuse Orange. And this will be over on the ACC network with Chris Carter and Mark Herzlich. And NC State opening up as an 11.5-point favorite. So, Michael Bullock, you started off. Syracuse and NC State.
Yeah, NC State, I mean, I like the way they're playing, and yeah, the Syracuse team, yeah, I basically see NC State winning this one. They should have no problem with Syracuse, so I give it to you, Florio.
Yeah, it's gonna be NC State. NC State's defense had a rare off night in a 45-42 road loss to a potent Wake Forest offense, but it should return to form this week against a more one-dimensional Syracuse. The Orange run well between Sean Tucker and Garrett Schrader, but their passing threat is almost non-existent, and the Wolfpack have allowed an average of 100.9 rushing yards and 0.5 rushing touchdowns a game. Syracuse might run for a couple of scores, but it won't be enough to make up for a defense that has allowed at least 33 points in 4 of its last 6 games. NC State wins 38-17. MF?
Total agreement here. I also got NC State to win as well, and nothing more to say. So, yeah.
All right. So we got 4 games left. 4 games left. A rare 5:30 kickoff next. This will be over on FS1. The number 11 Baylor Bears, off that huge win against Oklahoma, they're going to be on the road at Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan, Kansas, as they will be taking on the Kansas State Wildcats. FS1 will have this game, and on the call for that one, it will be Aaron Goldsmith and Mark Helfrich. And Baylor, actually, no, Kansas State opening up as a 1-point favorite. So we got a trap game here, guys. Major trap game. It sure would be funny, unless you're a Baylor fan, if the Bears dropped out of the hunt for a spot in the Big 12 championship by losing to Kansas State just 1 week after ruffling Lincoln Riley's sportsmanship feathers with a last-second field goal for Big 12 tiebreaker purposes. Considering the Wildcats have won 4 straight, it's possible. Well, we all kind of forgot about Deuce Vaughn for a bit when Kansas State lost 3 straight a while back, but the Wildcats star 5'6" running back and leading receiver has quietly averaged 141.4 total yards from scrimmage, good for 8th best in the nation. Containing him is the first step to avoiding the upset, a step that Baylor missed earlier this season against Oklahoma State's Jalen Warren and Iowa State's Breece Hall. Step 2 was establishing its own run game against what has been a stingy defense, but that was no problem for Baylor this past weekend against Oklahoma. Running back Abram Smith and quarterback Jerry Bohannon were outstanding against the Sooners, as they have been all season. A repeat of that performance would do the trick. It'll be a tight one, but I like Baylor's more well-rounded offense to get this road win. 27-24, Baylor should get it done against Kansas State in Manhattan. So 27-24, Baylor beats Kansas State. MF, major trap game for Baylor after that huge win over Oklahoma last week.
You would think so, and absolutely, you can definitely consider that a trap game because of who that they're playing. And you know what? I'm not surprised that they're calling for the trap. I'm not surprised that the Bearcat that Kansas State is definitely there. And their last game, they did put a whooping on West Virginia and won that game pretty handily. So. Do I think that it could definitely happen again? I think so. At the end of the day, you just got to handle your business. And I'll say this: if Skylar Thompson can continue to run very well, but if Deuce Vaughn gets going and he starts to go crazy, it's gonna happen. There will be an upset, and there's no doubt about it. The thing is, whenever, and I'm gonna be real honest with you, Baylor at home, it's a done deal. They're undefeated. They're 6-0, 2-2 on the road, and this is the danger situation. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Upset. Kansas State knocks them out. Nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm with Fletch. I mean, the thing is, I mean, yeah, it is a trap game. I mean, and the thing is, for Baylor, they're coming off of a huge win over a huge win last week over Oklahoma. So, I mean, could there be some after effects of it where it could be a letdown? I mean, it could be a possibility, but yeah, Kansas State is definitely going to give them some fits throughout the game, but I'm with Fletch. I'm calling for the upset. Kansas State upsets Baylor. So nothing more to say. Florio, it is yours.
Wow. All right. 3 games left. Next up, the ABC Saturday night game of the week. And we got a good one here. It's the number 3 game of the week. The number 3 Oregon Ducks on the road against the number 23 Utah Utes, Rice-Eccles Stadium, Salt Lake City, Utah, over on ABC. And on the call for that, it'll be Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, and Molly McGrath. And it is Utah opening up as a 3-point favorite. MF, I mean, our dear friend Eric Carrier, as we all know, major Oregon Duck fan. I know he's very happy with where they are right now at number 3. But brother, you got a trap game and then some. Utah at Rice-Eccles. Uh-oh.
That's not good. That's not good. And a lot of people sniffing upset. A lot of people are calling for the upset. It's not just like you want to talk about a bad situation made worse. I'm going to openly admit it. If you're a fan of this game, I kind of feel like this could be the game. This could be an upset. I'm going to say openly and honestly, it's going to be an absolute barn burner. I think Oregon will do just enough to win it, but I'm gonna openly admit it. I would not be stunned if we have an upset and if Utah knocks them out. I would not be stunned. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, this is definitely another trap game here, but I gotta go with Oregon here. Utah is definitely going to give them some fits. It's going to give them a hard time, but I just think in the end, Oregon will somehow pull it out. So I got Oregon winning. Florio, it is yours.
Oh man. Which potent rushing attack reigns supreme? Utah has averaged 215.1 yards and 2.7 rushing touchdowns a game this season. though it took the Utes a few weeks to get rolling. It's actually 242.8 and 3.4 respectively over the last 7 games. Oregon is sitting at 227.4 and 3.1 respectively during the full season, but it has eclipsed 250 rushing yards in each of its last 3 games. Both Pac-12 squads have also been solid against the run, although Utah did allow more than 200 rushing yards in each of its 3 losses, compared to 99.6 yards in its 7 wins, which might suggest an edge for the Ducks. Oregon has also been more opportunistic on defense, forcing 20 turnovers to Utah's 12, but the Utes lead the Pac-12 in both sacks 31 and sacks allowed 10. And only 4 of those sacks have come in the 7 games since Cameron Rising became the starting quarterback. So they might be able to bottle up signal caller Anthony Brown and might be able to keep edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau from becoming too much of a factor. That kind of nullifies the slight turnover advantage, no? Long story short, I see no considerable edge for either team aside from Utah getting to play at home, but that's not enough for me to pick the Utes to throw a wrench into the CFP picture. If Utah were to win this game, I would not at all be surprised, but these guys believe in Oregon. I'm going to take a chance on Oregon, although I would not at all be surprised if Utah were to pull off the upset. 27-24, I think Oregon will escape, but if Utah wins, no surprise. So 2 games left. Next up, the other 7:30 kickoff over on the SEC network. The number 12 Ole Miss Rebels at home at Vaught Hemingway Stadium at Hollingsworth Field in Oxford, Mississippi, hosting the Commodores of Vanderbilt. And this will be over on the SEC network with Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubelik. And Ole Miss opening up as a 36.5-point favorite. Michael Bullock, easy game to call here.
Ouch. Yeah, Ole Miss wins this one, hands down. So there's really nothing more to add to it. Flory, it's yours.
Oh yeah, it's going to be Ole Miss. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's been a hot minute since Ole Miss lit up the scoreboard, held to 31 points or fewer in each of its last 5 games. That should change against a Vanderbilt defense that has allowed at least 21 points and more than 400 yards in each of its 9 games against FBS opponents, including anemic Connecticut, UConn, Colorado State, South Carolina, and Stanford. The running back committee of Jerrion Ely, Snoop Connor, and Henry Parrish Jr. went for 265 yards on the ground against Texas A&M, but they only accounted for 1 touchdown. They'll quadruple the TD output while running all over the Commodores. 52-7, Ole Miss all over Vanderbilt MF. Vanderbilt and Ole Miss.
Yep, sorry. Ole Miss, easy, nothing more.
Yep.
Last game.
Final game of the night. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff over on Fox. The number 9 Oklahoma State Cowboys on the road against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. And this will be over on Fox. And on the call for that one will be Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman. And Oklahoma State opening up as a 10-point favorite. So while we were waiting for Oklahoma to wake up and start taking its CFP opportunity seriously, Oklahoma State seems to have answered that call instead, winning its last 3 games by a combined margin of 119 points while emerging as the Big 12's top dog. The Cowboys stomped a mud hole through TCU last week with 447 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns in a 63-17 romp. Not too shabby for a team that has been better known for a defense allowing a 3rd best in the nation mark of 282.8 total yards a game. Oklahoma State will bring that newfound offense to Lubbock to face a Texas Tech defense that gave up 52 points to Oklahoma, 52 points to TCU, and 70 points to Texas earlier this season. The Red Raiders did just pull off an upset of Iowa State, but this would be an even bigger and a much more surprising one. However, it's unlikely they'll be able to score enough to pull it off, as Oklahoma State has held each of its 10 foes to 24 points or fewer. Oklahoma State wins 35-23 over Texas Tech, MF.
Agreed. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State as well. I just don't see it. I think Texas Tech is going to give them a whole bunch of fits, but I just don't think that the upset's going to happen. Oklahoma State should win it. Michael Bullock. You got final say.
Yeah, Oklahoma State. I got them winning this one as well. So, yeah, there's nothing more to say except let's put a ball on this, Florio.
All righty. And that will put the bow on this latest edition of College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Now, next week, and I know MF will concur on this. Obviously, we are not going to have a show next Thursday because, hello, it's Thanksgiving. So you know what that means. I believe, MF, I believe Tuesday night, I believe our football feast is in order.
It is time to feast on Tuesday. Yes, my friend. Next Tuesday night at 10:30 will be the traditional and annual football feast. All the college football, the three NFL games. Huh?
Top 25 games of college football as always. And of course, what else?
The NFL, the Thanksgiving games. And we got some somewhat decent ones this year. The first one not so much, but the other two, we got some good matches.
Yeah. And look at the college slate, guys. I mean, here we go. It starts on Thanksgiving night with Ole Miss and Mississippi State, 12 versus 25. This is going to be the biggest game, the biggest week so far. Rivalry week. Oh, yeah. And you know what that means. Awesome matchups to get into. Some Friday slate looks a little meh, but the Saturday slate. Ooh. Headlined by the game of the year, as it stands, number 4, Ohio State, number 6, Michigan in the Big House. We've also got Penn State against Michigan State, Wisconsin against Minnesota, the Civil War, Oregon State and Oregon, Notre Dame and Stanford, the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn, Texas A&M against LSU. And how about and MF? What's a Thanksgiving weekend without Bedlam? Oklahoma and Oklahoma State? Anyone?
Yep.
In Stillwater, Bedlam. And how about how about this nice little sleeper matchup? BYU and USC in the LA Memorial Coliseum.
Oh yeah.
And those are the Saturday slate of games. The Friday slate, I mean, doesn't really look. I don't really see much of anything appetizing on that. Although we're going to get into that, obviously.
I mean, Boise State and San Diego State definitely might be one that might give you a little bit of a glimpsey, but Eastern Carolina and Cincinnati. Now, I know a lot of people was like, oh, but Eastern Carolina is not even that good. Well, they just recently knocked off Memphis, and if you remember, I think it was a couple of years ago, wasn't Memphis the Conference USA champion?
Well, they're in the American Athletic.
I mean, American Athletic? Didn't they win that title a couple of years ago?
They might have. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that, but I don't know. They may have, but we'll have to see. But
yeah. So,
but Cincy and East Carolina, and maybe the most appetizing of the Friday slate would probably be North Carolina and NC State, maybe, because that's a good game.
Definitely, that's a good game. Yeah.
And I'll even throw in Wake Forest and Boston College for flavor content because, BC is always right around that echelon and Wake Forest. But when it comes to next week, let's be realistic. It's all about Ohio State and Michigan.
Yes.
The closest to it would probably be Bedlam with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. But rival and of course the Iron Bowl. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Iron Bowl. So, but that all right. So here we go. This is how it goes down. Tomorrow night, 11 p.m., immediately following AEW Rampage, head on over to MF's channel, BraceFan95, for a very special edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, the go-home show for Friday Night SmackDown for Survivor Series, AEW Rampage, And of course, we will also preview the 35th annual WWE Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown. Who do we think and will end up with the bragging rights? We'll have to wait and see. Saturday night, NFL Saturday, right back here on the Tone 25. We'll address what happened tonight with the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons, but some other good games to get into: the Indianapolis Colts and the Buffalo Bills in an AFC wildcard rematch. Of course, we can also look forward to the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. That game just got interesting. Green Bay against Minnesota. That could be a fun one. Pittsburgh Steelers, LA Chargers. That and a lot more. We'll get into the whole slate on Saturday. Sunday, MF will have it immediately following Survivor Series. Time permitting, we will have our recap of the Survivor Series. And then Monday night, right back here, Tone 25, Ridiculously Raw, the Raw fallout from Survivor Series. And then Tuesday night, Tuesday night at 10:30, it will be our 10th annual Strictly Sports Football Feast, as we will preview the top 25 games in college football. And then from there, we will also preview the 3 Thanksgiving games of the NFL. And then I believe we'll have Wednesday Night Mayhem and with NXT 2.0 and AEW Dynamite. No show next Thursday, obviously, because of Thanksgiving. And then maybe a Friday show, Cerebral Smack Talk, and NFL Saturday. We'll see what MF says about that. So, but that's what we have for now. So until tomorrow, for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, this is Anthony Florio. On behalf of all of us here at Strictly Sports and the Wrestling Forum, good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, D.D. Woodson, and of course, always and forever, the man who put it all together in the first place, Yankee Messiah 401, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Week 12 of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.